Okay, so we have a unique opportunity to do a really cool pre-owned Tesla video. A lot of times when we do videos on Teslas, they're often a lot newer ones. We actually took this one on trade for a newer Model 3 with full self-driving capability. Obviously, they were big fans of the product. You know, in some ways, I guess they downsized to a Model 3, but with the newer technology and full self-driving, they did gain a lot of features as well. So, you know, a lot of people ask, oh, you know, when will I have to replace the battery in the Tesla? How long will the batteries last for? Well, just like an engine in the car, it's really not designed to be replaced. You know, when you buy a car, you're hoping that the engine should last the service life of the vehicle, you know, 150, 200, 300,000 miles. And that's pretty much the case for Teslas. You know, generally, you know, Tesla expects the battery to last about 200,000 to 300,000 miles. There are many cases of lots of Model S's out there. They've been out for a long time. This is a 2013 model. It's 2023, so it's 10 years old. The Model S first came out in 2012. There's Model S's with 200,000, 300,000, 500,000. There's even one Model S out there. It's on its, I think, second or third set of batteries, but it's got 1,000,000 miles on it, which is still pretty amazing because, you know, maybe the batteries and some drive units were replaced, but the chassis, the majority of the vehicle is still original, and it's still functioning with close to 1,000,000 miles, if not more than 1,000,000 miles now. So this is a Model S 60, so it's a 60 kilowatt hour battery, so it's pretty much the smallest battery pack that was ever put in the Model S. When it first came out, obviously battery technology is a little bit different. So when new, it had a fully charged range of about 200 miles. So out of curiosity, I was wondering about battery degradation. They say battery degradation is about 0.5% to 1% a year. So I wanted to see what this would fully charge at. So you can see charge limit, charging repeatedly beyond the daily driving needs will shorten battery life. Would you like to lower the charge limit? Yes. So just for that one time, I just wanted to see how far it would charge to. So of 110,000 miles, of a fully charged range of 180 miles, it's lost 20 miles. So after 10 years and 110,000 miles, the battery looks like it lost less than 10% of its capacity, which I think is pretty good. And the reason why Tesla doesn't like the batteries fully charged, or the car doesn't like it, is these are lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries don't like to be charged to 100%. So for daily use, you have this slider right here, and for daily use, Tesla recommends you charge it to about 80–90%. That keeps the lithium-ion battery happy and long-lasting, and it's perfectly fine every once in a while on a road trip, to charge it to 100%. So obviously me just charging it to 100% was just a unique time just to see how much capacity this would have fully charged. Now we know. You know, for the most part, this is a great vehicle of 110,000 miles on it. It's smooth, it drives awesome. Maybe comparing this to a gas-powered luxury vehicle, like a European luxury vehicle, like, you know, BMW or Mercedes, well, you know, it's 10 years old of 110,000 miles on it. What sort of maintenance issues are you going to run into? Well, you know, this is an electric vehicle, so there is no oil to worry about leaking, no catalytic converters, no turbos to go bad, no transmission issues. You know, as a used car manager, I put a variety of vehicles through the shop. I see the health reports on all of them because I have to approve and not approve the work that the shop recommends. And so I see how vehicles hold up, and, you know, it's just a fact of life. When you have a gas-powered vehicle, once it gets to 70, 80, 100,000 miles, you'll start to see oil seepage, oil leaks, things going wrong with them. And the thing with EVs is that they have far less moving parts. Obviously, you know, it's complex in other ways with its, you know, amazing infotainment system, the thermal management they use to, you know, keep the batteries at a happy temperature. There are some complexities to Teslas, but as far as moving parts go, this has far less moving parts than a gas car with an internal combustion engine. I mean, a gas car, especially a complex luxury vehicle, would have thousands of moving parts, where this has dozens. So, you know, just going from thousands of moving parts to dozens of moving parts, there's just less parts to go wrong. I guess, you know, one philosophy of Tesla, the best part is no part. That's why, like, they have the minimalist design in the Model 3, Model Y. The less complexity that you have just makes it more reliable. And that certainly seems to be the case with these Teslas. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's take it for a little spin and see how this 110,000 mile, 10-year-old Model S drives. All right, here we are taking this 10-year-old, 110,000 mile Model S for a spin. And I was actually, when the person wanted to trade it in, I was the manager who appraised it. It's been cleaned up and detailed and stuff, but you know, the first thing that struck me, I don't drive 100,000 plus mile Teslas every day. In fact, this is, out of the hundreds of Teslas that we've had, this is the first Tesla that we've had here with close to 100,000 miles. I think, you know, 70,000 or 80,000 was the next highest amount of miles. And yeah, the thing that kind of really grabbed me is just how nice it drove. You know, how quiet and smooth it is. You know, sometimes, you know, when you have gas-powered vehicles, sometimes when they get older and higher miles, they can get temperamental. They might not run as smooth. You can hear squeaks and rattles. You know, sometimes, you know, as the miles and years roll along, just like the cars, they start, you know, loosening up and stuff, and they're not as tight as they used to be when they were brand new. But honestly, if I wasn't taking a look at the odometer, I could easily imagine this with 40 or 50,000 miles. So, you know, it's always a question, you know, quality. When you have a new vehicle just came out, obviously, you know, we have new EV startups like Rivian and Lucid and a bunch of other ones coming out. And Tesla was a brand new company back in 2012. So, you know, back in 2012, the jury was out on how long these things would last, how robust the batteries would be. But there's no guesswork out of it. You know, there's 3 million Teslas on the road, if not more at this point, and there's plenty of older ones with higher miles, so we know how they hold up. We know, you know, where their weak points are, where their strong points are, just like any other, you know, used vehicle. And you know, it's just really amazing how well this thing drives. Everything appears to work. We took it to Tesla. There was a few things that we had to address when we first took it in on trade. The sunroof was not opening as smooth as it was before. Let me open it right now and see how it's doing. And it's opening fairly nice. We just had our technician kind of lubricate the tracks for the sunroof, and it's operating pretty close to 100%, I would say. You know, it might not be opening and closing as fast as it was when it was brand new, but I don't see any concerns at all. The TPMS system was on. They had to replace the tire pressure monitoring systems. That was about $500 to do at Tesla. There was something going on with the rear window. It wouldn't roll up. I think Tesla fixed that for like $20 or $30. So all in all, I think maybe with all the work we've done to it, maybe $700 worth of work. You know, for a Toyota Corolla, I mean, I guess with 110,000 miles, maybe that would seem about normal, but generally with luxury vehicles, what you'd be comparing this to, that's doesn't seem like a lot of money to me. Generally, you know, if we had a gas-powered vehicle that's similar as far as price range and luxury goes, we'd, you know, of 110,000 miles, we'd be looking at, you know, $5,000 in the shop in the good case scenario. In the bad case scenario, it's just going to have too much wrong with it. We're going to just send it to the auction because it's something that we don't want to mess with and sell at our dealership. So, I guess in a long, you know, in a long form way, I'm saying that, you know, I'm very impressed by how well this thing is holding up. And as far as used Model S's goes, obviously there's limitations, you know, to older Teslas. The autopilot, this does not have autopilot. It just has regular cruise control. This will never be able to be full self-driving. You know, the processor and screen aren't as fast as a newer one. But all in all, it functions fairly well. Sometimes you can have yellowing in the screen on these Teslas. Some of the earlier ones, the glue that they use in the sandwich material to make the touchscreen, it would cause some yellowing. Tesla can fix it. They treat it with UV light, and that will take away the yellowing. We actually just did that to a 2017 Model S, and it works surprisingly well. It took almost away all the yellowing. The resolution and display, the functionality, everything's a little bit slower, but all in all, it functions fairly well. Functions, you know, pretty close to probably the way it did when it was brand new. The interior is in really nice shape. The leather has held up very well. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you're thinking about a pre-owned Tesla, you know, EVs are still fairly expensive vehicles. So if you're looking for something under $30,000 and you want a Tesla, it's probably going to be something that's older and it's going to have higher miles on it. And then as far as range goes, obviously this is not going to have the same range as a brand new Tesla, you know, and even, you know, a base, you know, Model 3 rear-wheel drive has about a 270 mile range. but for around the town driving, it's great. You know, for someone like me, I maybe drive 30 to 50 miles a day, so this would be well within, you know, my commute. I wouldn't have to worry about having to fast charge it. I have plenty of range to do my daily commute of about, you know, so charging this to a 100%, you know, gives you about 180. So for daily use, Tesla recommends you only charge it to 80-90%, so probably about 160, 170 miles of range. That's actually pretty close to the usable range that I have in my 2019 Tesla Standard Range Plus. You know, the fully charged EPA rating was 240 miles. When I fully charge it, you know, you're going to have a little bit of battery degradation. It's giving me about a fully charged range of about 222 miles right now. But charging it to 85% for daily use, that gives me about 180 miles of range. And it's very rare. I've had it for about 6 months. I've maybe had to use a supercharger 2 or 3 times. And that's the ace in the hole. That's the thing, you know, about other EVs. If you do, you know, I guess for a fully charged range, I mean, if you're thinking about maybe a newer EV, you know, that's not as fancy, or maybe an older, fancier EV like this Model S, comparing this to like a Nissan Leaf, a newer Nissan Leaf has a fully charged range of about, you know, 150 miles for the smaller battery one. It'd be comparable to like a Nissan Leaf, a Kia Niro, you know, EV, Kia Soul EV, Volkswagen Golf EV. Similar, if not better, range. And obviously, being the smallest battery pack, it's not going to have, you know, the 0 to 60 in 3 seconds like the Model S performance. But, you know, stepping on the throttle, this thing still has amazing acceleration, and it's smooth, effortless thrust, very quiet, very comfortable, wonderful place to spend your daily commute. And it's like a big luxury sedan. It's not a little itty-bitty econo-box, you know, electric vehicle. This is a big, robust, luxurious vehicle. It's quiet, it's comfortable, it's got a high-fidelity sound system, it's got this huge touch screen, and it's still even benefiting from over-the-air updates. The Model S, when it came out in 2012, was one of the first vehicles to feature over-the-air updates. And embarrassingly for some other brands, in 2023, there are other brands, I'm not going to name names, that are still struggling very hard to do regular over-the-air updates in their vehicles. Where Tesla, you know, I'm getting updates almost every month, every couple months, where the vehicle's improving, it's gaining features. So this is a vehicle, even though it gets older, in ways it still gets better with the over-the-air updates to add improvements to it. You know, probably a little bit more limited to this vehicle since, you know, it doesn't have autopilot and some of the fancier technology. You know, the steering, the air suspension, everything works awesome on this car. Very, very impressed by how well it's held up. And if you want to see yourself, come in and take it for a spin. I think you'll be very impressed by the build quality and durability of this 2013 Model S. And that's the nice thing about EVs, is that how smooth they are. You know, you don't feel any vibration at all from the engine. It's completely smooth and quiet. You don't feel any gear changes. There's only one gear, so no, you don't feel any gear changes. It's just a, you know, a buildup of a linear buildup of acceleration and speed. And you know, that's further adds to the simplicity. You know, a common issue to go wrong in a vehicle is a transmission. We actually had a Chevy Tahoe that we took in trade, and we had to put a remanufactured transmission in that, and that was $6,000. I don't think I've ever heard of an occurrence where the transmission has gone bad in a Tesla. It's fairly simple. With only one gear, you have a forward gear and a reverse gear. That's it. Not too much to go wrong. You know, if anything, you know, the things that do go wrong in Teslas are the drive units, the electric motors that propel them. But like I said, they're fairly robust, and the incidence of them going wrong, I think, is fairly low for the amount of Teslas out there.